This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it is 7:07 and I call to order what I guess is called the annual meeting, which begins with our public hearing on the preliminary budget. And then after that, we will move into finalizing the budget that we will present to the public for voting in a regular meeting. Welcome everybody here, which now appears to just be board members and Jill. With that, I'm going to turn it over to begin the public hearing. I'm going to turn it over to Jill and Bob.
Okay, I guess we don't have any members of the public in attendance right now, but
Well, let's begin. We'll see if somebody signs in.
right. So I mean, pretty much everyone here has taken part in crafting this budget, and everybody knows what a challenge it is to put together a budget in the environment that we have with COVID-19. There's so many unknowns that we have to plan for as best we can. We don't know when we'll be able to be fully opened. We don't know if we'll have to shut down again if cases surge. We don't know how the public is going to feel about visiting the library in person, and whether we're going to be doing more virtual programming and virtual and providing more virtual resources. So our budget does the best that we can to balance all of those things. As we can see, the budget calls for a 3.2% budget reduction or expense reduction. But offsetting that is a loss in income of $68,967 from things like total fines and fees, the LLSA, interest, friends grants, and things of that nature. So that we're losing, which will result in a reduction in income of $68,967. Go to the next page, Jill. Keep going. So we're trying to stretch our resources as much as possible to provide the best possible service to our patrons and community members, and to at the same time minimize the impact to the East Greenbush taxpayer. As everybody knows, most of our funds come from public funds such as the East Greenbush tax levy, which this year's budget calls for $1,722,454 in taxes. And then we also receive a substantial portion of our funding from the town of Schodack in the amount of $311,313. This is the same contribution that they committed to and paid us last year. As we've all discussed, and Michael had sent a letter to David Harris, who's the town supervisor in the town of Schodack, laying out what our plans were, and basically telling him that we're working on our budget and that we had to present it to the public in early August, and telling him that we were counting on the same contribution in 2021 as we received from him in 2020. To date, we haven't received any response from him, and Michael and I were talking about this earlier. We're just taking the approach that a lack of a response means that they're in agreement with it until we hear differently. But that is a big wild card, which could play out at any time. We have to be prepared for that. The state and county funds are small, $3,764 in LLSA aid, which is, state aid. And we're expecting I believe about a 22% budget cut in state aid.
Okay, Bob,
Yep.
Since we're recording this and other people may listen to it, our intent was to basically keep the tax levy level even, but to maintain compliance with our charter and legislation, we increased it $1,000 because the legislation specifically states that a budget with no change in the levy does not get voted on. So if it increases or proposes an increase or decrease in the levy, then it has to be voted on. The board generally wanted the public to have the option to vote on this, and so we increased the budget by $1,000, or the tax levy by $1,000.
Okay.
That's why that is that way. Okay.
Okay, the special library district taxable value increased by approximately 1.4%, and so the library tax will stay essentially flat. Michael just gave the explanation of why it's $1,000, which is a minimal increase over the prior year. Estimated cost is 90 cents per assessed $1,000 of property value, which is about 1 cent less than 2020. And the cost to a taxpayer with a house assessed at 200,000 would be approximately $180. The items in the expense items in the budget that were reduced were contract maintenance, office supplies, human resources and staff development, physical collections, public programming, utilities, and no increase in salaries. Increases included our digital collections, information technology, infrastructure, insurance and benefit increases, and the safety and maintenance of the facility. Much of that is for additional supplies for COVID safety and mitigation. Keep going. Our technology and communications budget is increasing by about 20.2%, an $8,744 increase. Items which are leading to that increase are meeting room audiovisual upgrade, a people counter upgrade, increase in parking lot Wi-Fi, and replacing 4 computers. Programming and planning is reducing by 36.4%, or $4,000. Obviously, with the pandemic and the state that it's in now and what we can foresee into the future, we're forecasting a decrease in in-person programming for the foreseeable future. Books and materials, total budget is $122,500, which is a 6.5%, or $8,575 reduction from 2020's budget. One-year materials cut in print resources. We're seeing a decreased demand for audiovisual CDs and DVDs, and a significant increase in demand for digital resources. And so our digital resources within the books and materials budget contemplates a 69% increase over the prior year. Our facilities budget is $146,400, which is a 1% reduction from 2020. One of the key expenses is replacing the meeting room dividing door, paying for increased maintenance supplies due to what we need for COVID, and savings in utility costs, mainly due to lower operating hours. Professional services, budget line is $48,000, which is a 44% reduction, or 4% or $2,000 reduction from 2020. We have an increased Upper Hudson Library System membership fee, but that's and an increased payroll company rate, which is partially offset by savings from our new accounting firm, which is significantly less expensive than the old firm was. The operations budget is $35,200, which is a 4.5% or $1,500 increase over the prior year. There's some decrease in library supplies, but updating our newsletter and increasing the route of the newsletter to include all Skodak addresses, which will increase the budget a little bit. Personnel, our total personnel budget is $1,455,701, which is a 1.6% or $23,128 increase. We're increasing safety training, and we have a mandatory benefit rate increase for some staff, which basically that's the steps, correct, Jill? That's offset by decrease in travel to conferences and holding salaries even with last year.
And that's also the increase in retirement, workers' comp, and disability.
So we'll have an additional $200,736 to apply to reserves from the savings of having our bond paid off. We applied 87,000 of that savings to defray the tax impact on our citizens, leaving the 200,000 to put towards reserves. And we're going to have to eventually plan for some pretty big projects, such as replacing the roof and repaving the parking lot. There may be other unknowns in the future that we need to plan for, so the $200,000 will go a long way towards that. The total operations budget is $1,866,845, a 0.9% increase, or $17,297 more than last year. Total operating and capital reserve expenses are $2,067,581, which is a decrease of 3.2%, or $68,967 from last year. So that's basically it. Does anyone have questions? I mean, everyone's pretty much had a hand in crafting this budget, so I think we all know it pretty well.
Michael, are we in a meeting where we can move adoption yet or no?
We can. What we'll do is we'll officially close the public portion of the presentation, and still Mary joined us, but I don't see anybody other than board members here. So with that, I think let's close the public portion of the public hearing and move into our regular board meeting. And to make it for Kevin, I'll take a motion let's move right into that, and then we can shift into the minutes and the other item. We just have 3 items we got to do. Let's do the draft preliminary budget first. We need a motion to, I assume, not hearing anything to the contrary, that we propose to put forth to the voters this budget that Bob just presented. I need a motion to do that.
I would like to move the preliminary budget for 2021 as presented by the treasurer.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
That was Mary.
Yep.
Any discussion, questions, anything else? If not, anybody opposed, since that works easier than all in favor and not hearing anything?
Nope.
Hearing silence, take it that that's unanimous, and that is what we will do.
Okay, thank you all very much. As I'm leaving, I appreciate the work that was done and the tolerance of my absence for most of it, but I was plugged into it, but not directly. Thank you very much for all you do. Bob,
Okay,
thanks for a great job. Appreciate it very much. Take care.
I would like to
Bye.
echo that.
Bye.
But we won't thank Bob until the budget passes in September.
Oh, it'll pass. I promise I'll round up some votes from over here, okay?
Okay,
Well, my only concern is that we have not heard anything from Skodak. We're taking it
Yeah.
as, as I said.
No, I think you're taking the right strategy. Yeah. You have to
But-
presume that without, I think there's nothing else you can do.
But that's such a wild card. We just don't know what
Right,
could happen
sure.
there.
Right.
I think that
Well-
we're in a pretty strong position this year in that the bond has been paid off. We've got some
Yeah,
extra money.
sure.
But
Yeah, but if you do anything else, you'd be inviting them to reduce it, if you put something else in there except what you put in. I think that's
Right.
the only option. Yeah.
okay.
Great.
I
Super.
don't want
All right, thanks again, Righto. Good night, y'all.
Yeah, I want to
Be
hold
safe.
off on anything that could be treated as or influence future negotiations. So,
My question has nothing to do with future negotiations. How much do you want in the minutes about the report?
well, Bob made the presentation, and there were no public there. It was just the board and Jill. And then afterwards, we approved the preliminary budget as presented as the budget, the motion and that you can put in.
So I basically don't have to give any of the details.
No.
Just, that the presentation was made and.
Yes. And then attached will, obviously for the minutes we should attach the document that we received in our packet.
Right. Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
The next item let's do is the approval of the minutes of our last meeting.
I had one thing that I thought should be added,
Okay.
Okay.
and that is where we talk about UHLS. So it indicates that UHLS has a steering committee which will explore means by which they can promote and elevate racial justice and social justice issues. I thought we should add within the library system.
That's good. It's within the library system, and their focus is primarily on the staff, not even
Yeah.
the trustees. But if you say within the library system, I think that would be fine.
Okay.
And then I have one.
Mhm.
To approve the public hearing date for the 2021 budget. It says the annual meeting in July crossed out August 2nd, and it's August 4th.
Oh.
I
No,
think
that
what
was
you meant
second.
is
Second is
seconded by
adding
Betty.
second. It doesn't, it
Oh,
just says,
it was seconded. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
But maybe we could just add the date for August and that'll clarify that.
August 4th. Happy to do so. Anything else?
That's all I had. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you. That's Shay. Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Well, anybody opposed? No, carries. Okay, for those of us who were here on Saturday, Jill outlined proposed next change for hours. I think that's the other item on our agenda at this point. It's document number 4, but it comes up, it's funny, on my thing, it came up as an agenda.
Oh,
See, it's on your tab too.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that.
Yeah.
I apologize for if a dog starts barking in the background. I've been trying to be on mute. My dog doesn't like me tonight, I guess. So the new grab and go hours proposal is to increase the hours for the in-person transactional services beginning Tuesday, August 11th. So that's next week.
Week from today.
A week from today. So currently we are open until 2 o'clock, 11 to 2, grab and go. And the proposal is to increase those hours until 6 o'clock Tuesday through Friday. Saturday hours would remain the same. Drive-through window hours now would be reflective of grab and go hours. Everything would be the same. All services at the library would be 11 to 6 Tuesday through Friday and 9 to 1 on Saturdays. I'm going to mute, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
well, I'm really excited to see this. I think this is wonderful and will be appreciated by lots in the community. We talked Saturday about trying to do something for seniors. Is that just too hard right now, or any thoughts?
That's not something that we have been able to do just for next week, but it's something that we will consider moving forward. I think we had talked about trying to do that come September, making that more of a priority when school opens. But it's absolutely on my radar to address.
I think it's, and you want to wait and see how it's used, how many people, so on and so forth. I think the next step would also then ultimately be to increase the number of people eventually. Right? We're still at 15.
Is there any reason why the Saturday hours can't be expanded a little bit? Why are you keeping them the same?
Just staffing capacity.
Yeah.
Jill, I was wondering just if you've seen an increase or a decrease or the same in numbers involved in the grab and go.
We have not really seen an increase in the numbers, to be honest. The drive-through window has been extremely popular. The book bundles have been extremely popular. Grab and go has been relatively steady, but it has not seen increases in numbers. But again, the hours are 11 to 2, so we'll know more when we start expanding the hours, you know, what it's reflective of, if it's reflective of people not wanting to come into the building or were the hours inconvenient.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, for working people, it was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You've not heard any comments from your patrons in response to the hours, or no one has said anything about, could you change the hours because I can't get there, or no feedback?
I've gotten them here at home,
Very
the
little.
comment.
Yeah.
Boost.
Most of the feedback we have gotten has been thank you for the book bundles. That's most of the feedback we're getting, or I didn't know that you were open yet for grab and go. So we have been talking about how to get the word out for grab and go, letting people know that it's available. So we're working on that. There's we're making it a priority in the advertiser for people to be aware of it. And I think part of it is just things keep changing, and so people are not expecting it. Most of the other libraries are completely shut down.
Mhm.
We're one of the only libraries that's open at all right now.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we probably should vote on this in the form, I think, of a motion, which also authorizes changing our plan to reflect this change. Safety plan.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it, Betty.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, is anybody opposed? Hearing silence, it's a go.
Thank you.
Okay. In the agenda, the only other thing that I had is Saturday. We also discussed Jill wants to continue moving with some of the projects from the grant work. And before we really jump into that, we thought we need a good review of where we are with the grant, where it's going, how it's evolving. And we decided that we would discuss that in an administration committee meeting that we scheduled for next Tuesday, I believe at 9:30 in the morning.
Right.
The only admin member who wasn't there was you, Bob. So if it doesn't work, then we can shift it. Beyond that, I want to say, though, that the non-admin members are definitely welcome to attend that if they wish.
Is that going to be a virtual meeting?
Yes. At this point, it is.
Has
Yeah,
a
if
link.
anybody has trouble with that time, let me know, and we can change the time if we need to do an evening.
So have you sent the invite or link or whatever? Okay, good.
Not yet. I thought we'd do it after tonight when we say it and sort of confirm it, I think, and everybody, who can is absolutely welcome to be there. Some of the things would be good to do while the library is relatively empty now, such as the painting of the main room.
That's a good idea.
And it would also give work to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else?
I had a question. I can't remember
You
which
froze.
meeting it was now, but the bylaws, there was an indication that we needed to change the bylaws because we did an August meeting.
Yeah.
Do we need to physically change them, or was it just something we did through the board?
I think it's just an approval, since we said it is a temporary change this year only at this point. And then I
Okay.
think, you have begun a review of the bylaws overall.
Mhm.
And then, as soon as we feel comfortable or free enough to do some of that, I think we should continue with that.
Okay. All right. And then the other question I had was for you, Jill. Are they still doing the quarantine? Is that still extended to the 4-day quarantine? Okay, so then probably need to update the reopening plan to indicate that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's it.
Jill, on the overall, are we targeting potentially changing to a single group rather than the dual group in the beginning of September?
Right, so all staff will move to one team in September. We do have some staff that were on two teams that are starting to come into the library this coming week. Actually, some started this week, whose work is really more appropriate for in the building. So we've started to differentiate between who can work remotely and whose jobs are really more appropriate for the library. And so, for instance, our technical services department will be transitioning back into the building shortly, and some of our circulation full-time staff will be transitioning back into the building soon. But beginning in September, all staff will be we will not be on a two-team schedule anymore. We'll be on one team, but we'll still be on a reduced capacity in the building at any one time. It just won't be based on two different teams.
And the other thing I want to have for the board members who weren't there, since I'm remembering Saturday, you indicated that there was one maintenance person who was not doing well and probably would not last. And we thought maintenance is a big issue, since we said we were not going to replace anybody who quit for budget reasons. But on the maintenance side, I think it's necessary. And so the four of us who were there did say that Jill should plan on replacing that person.
Have you had any other meeting on another topic with schools or the Y?
Just the one meeting. We haven't had a follow-up meeting yet with the school and the Y to talk about what September might look like. So we haven't regrouped yet since our Saturday meeting. And I shared that.
My sense is they're in a holding pattern until the governor says whether they are go or no go, which he's supposed to do this week.
So we had talked about that staff have been surveyed to see what everybody's needs are in the fall, and the first thing that we were trying to determine was, will we need the space for childcare or assistance with schooling, virtual schooling for staff? And it was determined that we do not need the space for staff. So next steps are to continue the conversation with the school and the Y to see what needs still exist and how might we partner to provide space. You know, of course, within our capacity, because we won't have staffing capacity to lend, but we possibly have space while we're not actively doing programming that would, you know, certainly meet a pretty significant community need. Absolutely for our teenagers as well, who, you know, there's childcare is not really an option for middle school and high schoolers, definitely not high schoolers. So, but they're still going to need a place to go. So what that might look like, I don't know yet, but I will, of course, bring you in the loop as the conversations progress.
Now, our policy is masks on the property, right?
Yes.
Because several years ago, we had some issues with high schoolers congregating on the library property after school. And there actually were some issues related to it. but I want to make sure that it's clear that masks are required and social distancing on the entire property, not just in the building. So we don't end up with a ton of kids on our property hanging out outside after school, not socially distancing and no masks.
We can look at adding additional signage outside.
Yeah, well, let's wait. It's just as long as the policy has it covered, we can always deal with it if it becomes a problem.
Will there be a COVID update meeting this Saturday?
That was the next thing. You want one, Jill? Okay. And then we have the admin meeting next week, which, Bob, you're okay with 9:30 Tuesday morning?
Yeah, that looks okay for me.
Okay, so that's when we'll do it. And then we'll see, we have no other formal board meetings or anything this month. Typically, August, we don't have meetings. But we will continue Saturday meetings as necessary. So we'll have one this Saturday and then we'll do it on a week-by-week basis. Okay, anybody have anything else? If not, I'll entertain that most favorable motion.
So moved.
By Lynn, does somebody second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay,
Bob?
Bob. That's it. Thank you all.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all your hard work.
And Bob, I do want to thank you for all the effort you put into this budget thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a very good job.
A lot of hard work. Thank you.
Well, I'd have to say Jill did the lion's share of the work, but I mean, and everybody contributed, so good collaborative effort.
Yeah, it's a difficult year. Definitely.
Shay, how are you doing? You're awfully quiet.